It's been hot today. Hello, everybody. If you're tuning in later today, you will have forgotten how very hot it is this very moment. But very hot. And if you can see behind me, James is having a bit of a lesson on Roman riding. It'll be past in a minute. Come on then. There we are. On little Jupiter and gas diesel. So he's doing his thing. Anyway, there you go. Hello. So we're going to talk about a little bit of horse riding confidence. If you'd like to join in, just going to put the invite, copy to clipboard. There we go. So if you'd like to join in, I'll just put the join in link. Join in link, and you can have a little chat with me. Anyway, hello everybody. Thank you for joining. Hello everybody up in TikTok land as well. So I've got my YouTube and my Facebook and my TikTok going, and we're talking horse riding confidence as usual. So I got asked questions. So this is why I'm doing the broadcast. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, even. So I got asked the question that somebody wrote to me on my inbox after the last broadcast and said that they have a 6-year-old sprightly Irish sports horse who is a bit spooky, bit hot, bit nervy, and they generally lost their confidence and sort of lost sight of the bigger picture of why they're doing what they're doing and how much they're enjoying their horse at all. So I thought that'd be worth it. It encompasses so many things. If you're not enjoying your life with your horses, then what are we going to do about it? And I thought this is such a big question. Just clear my camera a little bit. Hasn't worked at all. This is such a big question, or rather a long answer, that it's worth a broadcast all on its own. What to do if your horse's behaviour and your behaviour don't match. I've had this, so I'm not speaking completely out of the blue. My first horse was called Sputnik. He wasn't really, he was called Patrick. I thought, I'm not having a horse called Patrick. I don't care if he was born on March 1st. And so Patrick became Sputnik. And Sputnik was a great little horse, but he wasn't a jousting horse. He was just too fiery, too flighty, too reactive, but he was a supremely good jumping horse. So I thought, well, it's such a good jumping horse, and we've been trying for a couple of years now. Perhaps I need to put the jumping horse at a jumping stable and get a jousting horse for my jousting stable. And that's what we did. Moved him on. I went like that a lot. I didn't want to get rid of Sputnik. Bless him. Super little horse. Lovely. But you have to put the right horse in the right spot. So if you've got a horse and it's too hot for you, or if you've got a horse and it's too dope on a rope for you, then you ain't going to change it. The thing is, and the thing that amuses me, well, it doesn't amuse me. I think it's quite upsetting to me, really, is to think that people who have a horse that is too dope on a rope don't feel anything about moving it on to a situation where they feel a little bit happier that it goes to a dope on a rope stable. But when they get a horse that's too hot, somehow they think that they've failed in a way that they haven't with the dope on a rope. When you get a horse that's too slow for you, too cold for you, not responsive enough for you, people don't regard it as their failure or feel a sense of guilt to move the horse on. And yet they do when it's a mismatch the other way. It's just a mismatch. There's no guilt. There's no guilt. There's no you've let it down, you've failed. That's all completely in your head. I promise you the horse doesn't care, but it would quite like to go to a stable where it fits in. Think of it this way. Let's exaggerate it a little bit. How can you have failed the horse as a horse trainer or a horse rider. You've not. You've excelled as a horse person to recognise that this horse is in the wrong stable. And just the fact that it's your stable is nothing to do with it. If you went to a friend's stable and saw the wrong horse in the wrong stable, you would say, if you're a good horse person, you'd say, that horse is in the wrong stable. You don't want that horse in that stable. It's so simple. So simple. And yet, because it's yours, the implication is therefore you're a bad rider, you're a bad trainer, no, you've got your life, you've got your diary, you've got your schedule, you know what you want to get out. If the horse is too crazy, there are people out there who love a crazy horse, love it. They love the challenge. They love the getting it on, so that a year from now they go, remember when it didn't do this, and remember doing it when it didn't do that. They absolutely adore it. I don't. So when I get a horse that's like that, I will pass it on to a stable that loves those kind of challenges. Let's just take it to an extreme. If there was a guy who pulled barges around the fens of Norfolk, and he went to market and he bought a horse called Rodeo Dave from the Calgary Stampede, and strapped Rodeo Dave to the barge that pulled its sedate way around Norfolk, and then Rodeo Dave smashed up the barge and broke the rope and rodeoed off all over the dock. Nobody would turn around and say, "Oh, he's a good horseman. Look at him managing to get this rodeo horse pulling this barge." Nobody would say that. They'd all go, "What a twit! What a complete idiot! Who on earth in their right mind would do that?" So if you take it to an extreme, we would know that it's not that the barge puller is letting Rodeo Dave down by not getting him to force him into his stable, but he's a better horseman for saying, do you know what? I'm not altogether sure that a bronco should be pulling barges around the fens of Europe. I'm going to get rid of it. Similarly, if you got a dope on a rope called Barge Pulling Nelson and you take him to the Calgary Stampede and stick him in with all the bulls, he's going to be miserable. So there is absolutely nothing wrong if you're not enjoying your horse to assess whether or not it's a round peg that sat in a round hole or a square peg that sat in a round hole. That's one part of the puzzle. If you're not enjoying your time with your horse due to a conflict in personalities or abilities, then it's absolutely right to assess whether or not you're putting the wrong peg in the wrong hole. Now, it may be that you really don't think that you are, and you think, well, I think with a bit of work, the hole can become slightly oval shaped and the peg can become slightly oval shaped and we can meet in the middle. And you might be right, or it might be one of those horses which isn't going to change its shape at all. Don't know. What we're talking about is you've got two different ways of looking at the situation. If you've got a horse that's a little bit hot for you or a horse that's a little bit cold for you, you've got two choices. Something has to change. Either the horse will change, what we've just spoken about, getting rid of it and get one that's more suited, which is super sensible, or it will change in behavior through you putting in the work and the bite sizes, turning up at 5:30 every morning to make sure you've got the consistency and doing some work, ignoring the fact that it's supposed to be a leisure activity. The horses don't know that they're a leisure activity. They're working to the best of their ability. They don't know that it's a leisure activity. It's only you that says that. And you could work equally hard. And quite honestly, if you worked hard at it and treated it like a job, a responsibility, a duty, and everything else, you wouldn't have to work at it very long before you'd got the results. And everyone's going, oh, what an easy horse you've got. I remember I did some work 6 months every day 12 years ago. And because I put that work in, I've enjoyed the fruits of that time ever since. Roman riding, actually, I've learnt the wrong way. Roman riding. standing on the back of 2 horses. Oh, it was hard. It was really hard at the beginning, and I took it seriously and put in that work at 5:30 every morning for an entire winter. Got it sussed, and it's never been that hard since. But anyway, I digress. So you can either put in the work and change the horse's behavior, or you can change yourself into a person who enjoys that kind of fruity behavior, or even the slower behavior. Usually the people that come to me have got it the other way around. They've got it that they don't like the horse is too fruity for them. But you could change yourself. You could find the joy in the horse messing around and you just going, come on, get on, shouting yee-haw as you go past. You go, it'll stop in a minute. Some people love that kind of thing. So it is entirely possible to turn yourself into the kind of person that loves that kind of thing. So again, you have got to be realistic to yourself. What everybody else says around the stables, what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Can you not fight while I'm doing a live? Not what everybody else says. It's being fundamental to yourself. What do you want? If you do want to turn into the kind of person that shouts yee-haw, has a little giggle, and leaves all the onlookers shitting themselves, well, there's a certain amount of joy in that, in pulling those little jokes. It's almost like playing a little joke. You know, you've got a little punchline as you can play up to it if that's your personality. So you've got to be true to yourself. What do you want out of this entire relationship, this whole thing with horses and getting on? You know, is it a thing between you and your horse? Is it a thing between you and your community? Is it a tradition that you're carrying on in your family? I don't know. But once you're true to yourself, I'm going to stop those ducks fighting. I'll be back in a minute. Talk about yourself. I don't like bullies, even when they're done. So yes, what do you want out of it? If you want to change yourself, if you would like to change yourself to be one of if you want to change yourself to be one of these people that enjoy that kind of behaviour and shout yee-haw, then it is possible. How to get over anything that frightens you in life at all, is to find the joy in doing that thing. And find the joy. I can see the joy in jumping on a misbehaving horse and becoming the person that just shouts yee-haw, has a little giggle, and rides off. I can see the joy in that. I love it. I love it. I love watching other people do it. I love watching a confident rider. Do you remember a little YouTube thing? Ben and Ross. Ben was the horse. Maybe Ross was the horse. Ed and Ross. Ed was a little Shetland pony, a little white Shetland pony, and Ross was he looked like he was about 3, this tiny little rider with a massive head with his hat on. And he fell off and 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 fell off. This little pony would run around and stop and he'd fall off and run around and stop and he'd fall off. And it'd buck him off and it'd sliding down his ears and it'd just stop and it'd run backwards and he just kept hitting the deck and hitting the deck and hitting the deck and hitting the deck. Laughing his little socks off, getting back up, getting back on, laughing his little socks off and thoroughly enjoying it. It's possible to even see the joy of falling off, because there was the joy in falling off. It's possible to see the joy in riding an exciting pony. I've got a friend who was scared of bridges, and it's like, well, find the joy in bridges. Where's the joy in bridges? She asked. Incomprehensible. But when I was driving home from London, the sun was setting and there was a little silhouette of a parent and a child looking over the motorway bridge at the lorries, and the child was wetting itself and running around in little circles, then coming back to wave at the lorries, and the lorries go, oh, little child will run around. There's the joy in bridges. If you can find even a sliver of joy, then that's the first crack, which is going to crack your fear of anything ever. If it's possible to enjoy it, then you can start the work that will bring you a series of A, it's possible, B, it's possible for you, and then you can move on. So what have we covered so far? If you're not enjoying your time with your horse, A, is it the right horse? Are you trying to force a square peg into a square hole? Be true to yourself, what you want out of it, not what your friends want, not what your mum wants, not what everybody at the stable yard says. Sod all them. It's between you and your horse. Are you getting what you want, or are you trying to force a square peg into a square hole? Are you not getting rid of the horse and changing it for a more suitable horse out of a feeling of guilt that you wouldn't feel if it was too slow and you were getting rid of it? And you wouldn't feel if it was at another stable and wasn't yours, and you wouldn't feel if you saw somebody called Rodeo Dave trying to pull a barge around the fens of Norfolk. If it is for you, and you do want to do it, what do you want to do? Do you want to change the horse to be a perfectly behaved horse, or do you want to change yourself to enjoy the behaviors of the horse? Once you've sorted all that out, your path's super clear, and you're back down to doing exercises in bite sizes that lead to a specific goal. So you've got your goal, you know what you want to do with this horse. That's probably come out of asking those earlier questions. And then to get to that goal is just making bite sizes that a 7-year-old version of yourself could cope with. Our fight and flight responses work at the level of a 7-year-old, processing power of a 7-year-old, the primitive brain. So if you have to spend a year long reining to find out how or some people call it long lining, walking along with your horse on reins, to find out how your horse responds to pressure to move forward when it's feeling a little bit anxious, how it responds to the rain, how it responds to this, that, or the other, maybe setting up some spooks, put on the pressure, get on, walk on, and just making sure that it behaves in the right way, managing the horse's fear responses as well, so to be something that the horse can cope with. You don't want to go out of the learning zone. And after all that, it's entirely possible, and give yourself plenty of patience as well. I've got an exercise that I'd like to do. I'd like everybody to learn, actually, putting a garden sprinkler into the arena, getting your wet weather gear on and driving your horse through it. Could you do that on your horse is my question. Could you do that on your horse? Put on a garden sprinkler and drive it through it. Most people kind of go, maybe. But what we're saying is, could you do it? Not could you do it now? Could you do it? Now let's put in the little proviso in 3 years' time. Could you do it in 3 seasons' time? Suddenly, it's become possible. Patience. Be true to yourself. Have the patience. Have a sense of humour, and you're going to have fun on your horses. But these are only questions you can answer for yourself. I can't answer them over the internet, certainly. And nobody in your yard can answer them. Nobody in your family can answer them. Yeah, anyway, I hope this has been of help. If you're not making a good match with your horse, ask yourselves those questions. I'm just going to quickly look through the comments, see what everybody's saying. And someone just mentioned. That's not a girl. You can hear a girl's voice. That's why I thought it was a girl. On the horses there, we're just learning a little bit of Roman riding. Oh, James has only been with us for a short while, so must have good teachers. Have a little look through. Okay, somebody's put garden sprinkler, no problem. Puddles, on the other hand, he. Well, if you want to accept that, that's it, that's it. However, I promise you that if a film director turns around and says, we want to use your horse and we just want to go in through some puddles, and we'll be down probably this time next year, and we'll pay you £10,000 for 3 days' work, you'd be amazed at how you'd suddenly come in with a plan to deal with puddles. You'd be amazed. I know, because I've done it. Oh, I like this, Kelly. Your course turned me into the Yeehaw Rider. It's nice being the Yeehaw Rider. Thank you very much. Okay then, Chaz, I hope this has been interesting. If it's helped you at all, then or if you think it could help anybody else, then can you just share it around, and or maybe send it to them, because I know that a lot of people have this, or maybe even send it to nervous horse groups. I don't go on them, but I know some of you are foolish enough to. You might as well make use of it. If you are nervous of your horse, the worst thing to do is to go onto a nervous horse group, because it immediately self-identifies you as a nervous rider and puts you in a community of nervous riders. People getting confidence group, that's different. People growing their confidence with horses group, that's different. And that's what I'm trying my page to be. So there you go. Anyway, lovely. Just quickly nipping through there. Don't you start with... Oh, it's you. Flipping foul. The foul. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. I am going to zoom off now, and I've got a talk with my mounted division ultimate rider confidence course very soon now. Oh, in about half an hour, so I'll get a cup of coffee, have the weekly meet with those. So if any of you are on there, I will see you in about half an hour, and thank you for joining. See you later.